because that's specifically what it says in our code. So there's no money involved, it's just a matter of getting them to them and then bringing them back to our office. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me see if I understand all this. I'm going to the Portland building with the 3 subpoenas.
Well, at least 3. I'm not sure what to do with security guards yet, but we'll talk about them.
At least 3 subpoenas. And I can make arrangements prior and let you know that I'm coming.
Sure, it'd be great.
And then get them to sign off, and then bring them back to you.
You'll actually sign off.
But he'll sign off for all 3.
No, you'll sign off. You simply, I certify
subpoena.
that I gave.
Joe's the sheriff.
And it's okay with you that he accepts all 3.
It's okay with him, and that's fine with me.
And if you give me your card, then I'll call you before I come up, and we should have a really smooth.
All right. Now, which of the security guards, can you raise your hand who was there that day?
There's 3 different days.
There's 3 different dates? All right. Wayne, I know, because he's been my security guard before. So, do we need to subpoena you?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. And what's first and last name?
James first, last name of Wood, W-O-O-D.
And is there any additional security guard? John? Okay. And is it acceptable for you folks, the 3 of you, to have Mr. Inman accept service on your behalf? Is that all right?
Sure.
All right. Now you're going to have 6 of them.
6 of them, okay?
All right, and you only have to go to one place. So I've tried to simplify this and make this as easy for you as possible. So you'll simply give them to this gentleman. You'll bring them all back, and we're done.
One security guard brought up an interesting concept. He said there's more than one day. Now, we take the position that they gunny saddled this whole issue by going back a year. I attend every city council meeting.
We're only here, do you want all 3 or not?
Yeah, all 3 can come.
Then you can argue about their relevancy later.
Okay.
This is not an evidentiary hearing at this point in time. We're simply trying to get the logistics taken care of.
Okay, but he brought it up, so.
Well, and I perceived it, Mr. Walsh, from a numbers perspective. They wanted 3 people. They believe 3 people should be there. You've agreed that 3 people can come. You want them subpoenaed. We're in 100% agreement. This is a kumbaya time. All right.
Okay.
It doesn't stay that way always, but at this point in time, I'm telling you, we all are in agreement. Okay, and that's a nice thing. All right. So, is there anything else that either side wants to bring up at this point in time from a process or procedure perspective?
Mr. Frank, when should we give you the video?
You can do that now. What you do is give it to Mike. Mike will give it, Kurt will give it an exhibit number, and
Is that the full video of the entire meeting?
We have both, right? Yes. We have both the actual event and we have for the entire session.
Okay, because it's important for you to look at the entire meeting.
yeah, let me explain what I do. All right?
Okay.
It's so inconvenient here, and everybody says the city has lots of money, you can do all kinds of things. If I had my way, what I would do is I'd have a screen, and that way we'd all look at it at the same time. The problem is I have a screen, and we can't all look at it at the same time. So I'm obligated, and it definitely makes things go much, much slower. Because if I'm going to be watching it, I'm going to be narrating, I'm going to be describing what I'm seeing. And if you need time to think about it, or you need time to question me, what did you just see? The thing of it is when I'm looking at a video, and you're not looking at the video, the evidence is just mine. And that's, it's inconvenient, but that's the way we do it all the time. We hold land use hearings, we hold lots and lots of hearings here, sometimes up to 950 a year. And I will tell you that this is the most inappropriate thing, so I end up having to tell you exactly what I see. And so the more we can narrow it down, to be real honest, there's isolated parts, Mr. Walsh, that you want me to see. That would be really helpful. If you require me to look at the whole thing, I can't refuse
I can do
Understand what I'm
that
saying?
and tell you where my questioning is going to be on the video.
Yeah, if you can look at
So-
like minute numbers or
I
time.
already have that.
Oh, that's perfect.
So
That's great.
I just have to clean that up a little and I'll give you a
Well,
copy.
You'll have time, and you can either talk me through it or give me a copy. All right? Anything else process or procedure wise?
I also would like to submit transcripts for the council session
That's your right. We will make a copy of it, give it an exhibit number. We will give Mr. Walsh a copy of that as well with the exhibit number. Let me tell you and I'm trying to make it so that the hearing itself goes as smooth as we can. It's playoff baseball time. I love sports analogies. Nobody else does, but I love sports analogies. All right, and I love to keep score in baseball. All right, so we have a scorecard. You're going to be given a scorecard. There is actually one out there now. I'm not sure if you've got one in front of you. I'm assuming you do. It's only got 4 or 5 things on it now, maybe 6 things on it. Left column has number. Center column has a description of what it is. So we just got transcript. It will say transcript of whatever. Whenever we're talking about a document, would you do me a favor and refer to it as best you can by number? If you've got documents that you want to submit to me, the earlier you do that, if we've got time, we'll actually mail them out to everybody so that when you come to the hearing, you're going to be able to say, if you look at Exhibit 7, because if there are, for example, 2 different copies of transcripts, maybe one's an abbreviated one, one's a really long one, I want to know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't want to take the time to try to figure it out. I want you to be able to say to me, please, would you look at Exhibit 7? I will look at Exhibit 7. Go to page 4. Well, there's only 2 pages in the one I was looking at, maybe. So I want you to be as precise as you can. I'm not trying to hurry anyone. That's not the motive, although maybe it's subliminal. But I certainly like to be as efficient as we can. And so I don't want misunderstandings that we're looking at the wrong thing, or I'm not considering the right thing. Exhibit numbers are really important. So if you would do me a favor and kind of keep that in mind when you come, that's the one piece of paper that should be sitting in front of you and accessible at all times when you're looking at that. I've got mine, and I simply pull it up and I go, oh, that's Exhibit, and I pull it out. All right? The other, go ahead, sir.
The transcript that you just received, we don't have a copy of that.
You're
It
going
seems-
to?
Are you making it? Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'll give you a copy of everything I submit, so.
It doesn't matter, because what I'm trying to tell you is we create this office, this person right here, she's going to create the official document with an exhibit sticker on it.
Okay, cool.
And so no matter, if you pass them back and forth, quite honestly, all it's going to do is confuse things. Because you're going to have a copy from the other person plus my copy that's going to have an exhibit number, and you're going to wonder which one you're supposed to be looking at. And I'm telling you, the more you can get used to my system, which is, it has an exhibit number, the more efficient we're going to be. The last thing I'm going to talk about is that if you go to court, for example, court processing of documents is very different, okay? Because we have so many non-attorneys here, I've made a rule, and my rule is that anything in my file simply is in my file, but I don't read it. I don't read it until it's been offered as an exhibit. So let's assume that the city wanted the transcript to be something that I actually considered in making my decision. You would offer that into the evidentiary record. It's very different in court because certain things are automatically in the record. Nothing is in the record. Nothing on that list. You'll notice on the right column of that little sheet that I gave you, my scorecard, that it simply says, did I admit it or reject it? And I will put that in there. And I will tell you from a record-keeping perspective, it makes your life much easier because you can look down and say, you can't look at that document because it wasn't admitted. I have looked at nothing except for Mr. Walsh's letter. And whether anybody asks, I will admit that, all right? Simply because I have to have something to start with. In all likelihood, I can't conceive of not admitting the determination letter. in other words, the exclusion letter, because that's what we're fighting about, all right? So those two things are probably gonna come in, all right? And if nobody asks, I will put them. But everything else is up to you, all right? And so you have the ability to offer, you have the ability to object. You have the ability to offer, you have the ability to object. I will tell you quite candidly that the only objection that really works here is relevancy. And as I talked about, Mr. Walsh, with subpoenas, relevancy simply means, does it relate to that event? If it relates to that event, it is relevant. So if we're talking about the weather in Southern California last July, not relevant. We're talking about any event that surrounds the issuance of the exclusion, probably relevant, probably be considered. I have the ability to determine weight. In other words, how much weight do I give that? And I have the ability to determine credibility. Those are the things that I get to do, all right? But in all likelihood, relevancy is such a broad term that it's going to be coming in no different than what I did